Chris Brown, Steve Tasker with you, joined in studio by Bills reporter Maddy Glab, because it is that time once again. You've seen her here before for the very same reason. Mock Draft Watch 6.0 we are up to now.
I cannot believe we're up to 6.0.
6.0, and Maddy is going to dice up the new trends from the Draftniks as to who they like for the Bills at pick 27. Have we seen a shift, Maddy? That is question number one.
We've started to see a shift, but it hasn't been reflected upon looking at all the mock drafts yet, because early on we were getting Bijan Robinson in what seemed like just about every other mock draft watch. And the name is still popping up. I mean, there's one today that had us trading up to go get Bijan Robinson at number 23.
Now we're trading up to get him?
Yeah.
So
oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack.
This is just going to be a name that's going to be around maybe until the draft begins, and then we're really going to see what happens here. But we're starting to see a shift in the positions at least being mocked to the Bills at 27. So we can start with Mock Draft Watch 6.0, and then I also have started to track all of our mock drafts, the positions mocked to the Bills out of the 114 that I've tracked.
Okay,
and also, cumulatively have started to track that as well. So we'll go small picture, and then we'll go big picture.
Sounds good.
So out of the 13 that we tracked for Mock Draft Watch 6.0, linebacker, offensive line, wide receiver are the most popular positions. And we're seeing if you're watching on MSG, we're seeing the cumulative results. So I can flip to that for now, and then we'll go back to Mock Draft Watch 6.0. So we've tracked 114 so far.
Okay.
Out of those 114, offensive line has been mocked to the Bills 35 times. That is the most popular position for the Bills at number 27.
And more than 2-to-1 interior O-line to tackle.
Yes, when you break it down,
wow.
Interior's 24, offensive tackle has been mocked to the Bills 11 times.
Okay.
So interior is definitely the favorite. Next up, running back, I should just say Bijan Robinson, because I think he's been mocked to the Bills maybe 21 times, and the other 3 times it's been Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 names that we've seen there. Wide receivers, number 3 at 18. And then safety, DB, I split those 2 up or put them together, 15. Linebacker, 11. Defensive line, 4 times a defensive lineman have been mocked to the Bills. That's more defensive tackle. I've seen only one edge rusher be mocked to the Bills. Tight end is number 3. Cornerback is also number 3.
Wow. All right. Yeah. The Bijan, we should just put BJ in instead of RB,
right?
And it's not for broad jump. It's for Bijan Robinson.
So offensive line, the hot position, running back is the second hottest position. And then favorite names, I said Bijan Robinson has been mocked to the Bills around 21 times. 20 times he's been mocked to the Bills. So he's the most favorite name being mocked to the Bills at 27, or being mocked to the Bills a little higher up. I counted based on when the Bills were drafting in the first round, even if mocks had them trading up a few spots. Second most favorite name, Osiris Torrance, is a name that we've seen pop up quite a bit too. He's been mocked to the Bills 17 times. And then from there you have 2 safeties. 9 times is Brian Branch, and Antonio Johnson is, I believe, 6 times. So 3 favorite names, Bijan Robinson, Osiris Torrance, and Brian Branch.
Yeah. Branch didn't test well, Maddy, at the Combine, so
and
more
Branch
people have been sliding out,
Branch has been early. The Branch names came when we started to
pre-Combine.
First start tracking these mock drafts. So that was more January, February, pre-Combine is when we saw Brian Branch and Antonio Johnson pop up quite a bit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, after the Combine, after free agency, we really haven't seen safety pop up as much just because of what the Bills have done in free agency.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to look at this big picture and have it not really reflect how the latest mock drafts look at who the Bills are going to take at number 27.
One of the latest ones now that free agency we're halfway through, one of them had him taking a corner, Cam Lewis.
Yeah.
Not Cam Lewis.
Smith.
Cam Smith.
Yeah, from South Carolina.
Yeah, so... well, that's where the Bills have always wanted to be and want to be before every draft. So whoever the player is, they can take him, whether it's a corner or whatever or defensive end, what have you. I don't know that they're there yet.
Yeah.
To me,
Yeah.
I don't think they're there where if that the need doesn't sneak up on the guy who's the best on the board.
And in 6.0, we tracked 13, and linebacker and offensive line were the most favorite positions. Wide receiver as well. Each of those positions were mocked to the Bills 3 times. Interior offensive line was 2-1 versus offensive tackle. Defensive tackle popped up once. Running back popped up once. Tight end and cornerback also popped up once. But the favorite names out of this one, Drew Sanders and Jordan Addison.
My man. That's my
Yeah.
full-on
We haven't-
bromance. Drew Sanders
We
is my full-on bromance as far as the guy who I think.
Maddie's
Maddie's a little under the
she's
weather.
had a
She's
coughing
fighting through
fit.
it.
She's having a coughing fit. But we have been talking about Drew Sanders all morning, and so I said, all right, let me go watch the guy. So the first highlight out of the gate, he's playing against what is it, Mississippi State here, somebody, and he blows through a double team and gets to the quarterback and makes a sack. Then he decleats some guy on an off tackle play, steps up into the hole. I mean, the guy is really playing well. His highlights, to me, are more impressive than Jack Campbell.
Well, the reason why is he's a better athlete.
And
He's
he's
a
also-
looser athlete. He's a faster athlete. Might not be as fast in the short shuttle as Jack Campbell, and Jack Campbell ran a 6.743 3-cone drill.
Right.
That's pretty dang good. Anything under 7 seconds is
But here's
considered
the
very
thing.
good in a 3-cone. And a linebacker at 249 doing
Right.
a 6.74, that's pretty good.
Here's why I like about Sanders is this. The guy's an edge rusher.
Well,
He
right.
was an edge rusher at Alabama, couldn't get on the field, so they put him in. He transferred to Arkansas to get on the field. They stood him up and took him off the ball, and he was crushing people. And he played extremely well. So in passing, so this position versatility as a linebacker,
Yeah.
to me, screams what the Bills look for in
Well,
players.
and I could envision, and you know, we talk about Jack Campbell, who's like the soup du jour. Everybody loves Jack Campbell, and I get it. I'd be
I do
happy if
too.
they
I'd
got
be
Jack
happy if they
Campbell
get it.
also. But I don't know if Jack Campbell fits the value at 27. A lot of people are mocking him later in the draft, like in the 40s. I think I just saw Todd McShay mock him 48 overall in
Yeah.
his latest mock draft. More people tend to have him in the top half of the second round, where Drew Sanders is a better athlete, Maddie, and I think might be more fitting of the value at 27. And I know that, who was it? Jordan Reed, I think, from ESPN, you listed, right? In mock draft 6.0, he
Yeah.
took Drew Sanders.
Sorry, guys, I had a little tickle
No,
in
that's
my
okay.
throat.
I don't get it. So we're
Been there.
The worst feeling ever. But Drew Sanders, I wanted to add on him just a little bit. He was a 5-star coming out of high school, and so this guy was highly recruited. Started off at Alabama, ended up transferring to Arkansas.
Right.
He's played in quite a bit of games, but he hasn't started in many. So this is somebody that you turn on his tape. There's a lot of upside with a player like Drew Sanders and with what you see on tape. He plays with anger, intensity, and
Explosion, yeah.
an explosion. Getting some water. Oh my gosh. This tickle in my throat is terrible. I'm so sorry, guys. But he needs more reps. If you're drafting a player like this, you know what he's put on tape so far. Oh my gosh. The upside is there. But he's somebody that you want more time on task with a guy like him.
Yeah, I would agree. He's not as instinctive as Jack Campbell is right now. If you draft Drew Sanders over Jack Campbell, you believe in two things: the elite athletic traits, and you believe in upside. You believe the upside is higher with Drew Sanders than it is with Jack Campbell, who kind of is what he's going to be. Now, here's the other thing, and Steve alluded to it. I can see, and we know how the Bills love position flex, okay? They love it at a number of positions. If you can get a middle linebacker who can play, you know, the undefined downs as your off-the-ball play caller, getting the plays in his helmet, setting up the defense, great. But then this is what I like about Drew Sanders. You get into a 3rd and 12 situation, you put Terrell Bernard on the field as middle linebacker. He plays your pass coverage. And you
to
take Drew
Milano.
Sanders and you put him at defensive end, and you take Boogie Basham off the field and say, you're over there, Von's over there, go get him, kick Greg Rousseau inside at defensive tackle, and let's go.
Yeah, with Jordan Phillips. Yeah, you could use Sanders as a defensive end instead of an off-the-ball linebacker. That kind of flexibility. You get.
In
Now,
obvious
also, too,
passing situations.
And I also think, too, he is, and I don't know, I'm not going to say here, I know how it is to play linebacker and all that, but Sanders still strikes me as a good enough stand-up inside linebacker to start in, plug in, and let him go.
He played off the ball a ton his last
Right.
2 years.
So I'm thinking he's good enough now to take over for a Tremaine Edmonds, knowing, too, that he's going to develop and get better and better and better and better. Nobody's going to be as good as Tremaine was in the last year or the year before.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe half the season in, he's close. You know what I'm saying? He's going to develop fast, particularly playing a lot of reps on that. So,
and that's what they
coaching.
come to understand by sitting down with him. Hey, does he know X's and O's? Like,
Right.
he'll get this, and he'll only get better at this. The other person, Maddie, that caught my eye, our good friend Bucky Brooks at NFL.com, went with Jordan Addison at 27 for the Bills. As Steve and I said earlier in the show, I wouldn't be unhappy with that. And one of the main reasons why is many people consider him to be a 3-level receiver, a guy that can run routes for you and get separation underneath, intermediate, and deep. I know the size is a concern there, but maybe just flesh him out a little bit for us, because I think he could be a dynamic addition.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Addison, he's played in 35 games, so he has some of that time on task that you'd be looking for. He had his best year with Pitt in 2021, where he played in 14 games, 100 catches for over 1,500.
Yeah.
Here comes that tickle.
Crazy production.
Over 1,500 receiving yards, 17 receiving touchdowns, which is incredible. That ties the FBS for the lead, at least right now. He can work inside and outside, which is what I really liked when you turn on the tape on him. He's got quick feet. He's fast. He can juke a defender right out of their shoes. He can get in and out of his breaks quickly. He plays bigger than he is based on his athleticism. He sees the ball well into his hands, too. He had a down season this past year with USC.
Yeah.
So the question mark for him is, why did that down season happen? Is 2021 his best season, something that you can build on? Over his career, there's been quite a bit of production. 2021, again, the best year that he had. He ran a 4.49 40. He's 5'11", 173, so he's a little bit smaller. So it's also, what type of flavor of a wide receiver are you looking for? Do you want somebody like Jordan Addison, or are you looking for somebody a little bit bigger than him?
Yeah, he came in. Think about it. He was at Pittsburgh, and he won the Blitnikoff Award as a,
Yep.
and then transferred it. People are like, what's going on? Well,
Kenny Pickett graduated. That's what happened.
Well, plus
True.
the NIL at USC is much more lucrative than the NIL as a Blitnikoff Award winner for USC is different than it was in Pittsburgh.
Well, true.
And plus you get a chance to play at a better weather school and all that stuff. And I think
In a
that
conference where they don't play defense.
I think it was a personal decision too for him to transfer to do that, because the guy won the Blitnikoff Award with Pittsburgh Panthers. I mean, that's how good
I would
he
argue
was.
that the defense is better in the ACC as well than it is in the
Right.
Pac-12, and he put up monster
is-
numbers there.
He's a slight guy. He's less than 175 pounds. He's 5'11", so he's slender and all that. But more and more, and Brownie and I are knocking these guys for it. But you're seeing more and more of those guys out there.
Well, and I'm just going to say this. When I watch his tape, I look at his route running, he reminds me of Diggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a young Diggs. I mean, I'm not saying he's Diggs, don't get me wrong, but some of his route precision resembles Diggs' game.
Yeah.
And that's what
crisp.
excites me, because if you can run routes in a way that is similar to Diggs, you know he can fit in this offense, and secondarily, logic would tell you he can win at all 3 levels of the field, and that's what people say. Now, look, I know everybody out there, all these draftniks and gurus that have watched far more tape than I have said that Jackson Smith-Njigba is the best route runner in the class.
Okay.
I'd put Addison up right behind him if he's not the best.
Right. There's
So,
a lot there, but
Those are my favorites.
And it's difficult now. It used to be much easier when the Bills were in the top 10 picking to kind of hone in on who the Bills could get, because you knew most of the guys were going to be there. When you get to 27 at the bottom of the first round, it's difficult to decide which position group is going to be highly sought after and which ones are not. The one, like my crush is on an offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I think they're going to take. I think they're going to take a big body because those are hard to find. We've had guys call in say, they like the Darnell Washington, the tight end out of Georgia.
the freak
Yeah.
I can
tight
get
end,
that.
yeah.
Mine is
Darnell Wright.
Darnell Wright, because I think he'll actually be there because he's a high level guy. He played a lot of right tackle in his year. He played 1 year at left tackle.
From Tennessee.
Out of Tennessee. He only allowed 7 sacks as a right tackle in his entire career at Tennessee. Played 3 years of right tackle
In the
He allowed-
SEC.
and he also
Where
played.
they're going to see about 5 pass rushers go in the first round.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
He also played left tackle for 1 year and allowed 3 sacks that year for the entire year. Last year he had over 800 snaps at right tackle and let up 0 sacks. 0.
So,
So
Maddie, what's the look at tackle in the latest mock? I think they had one guy, mock draft 6.0. They had the Ohio State kid, the big giant
Yes, the big
behemoth guy, not Paris Johnson, his
Jones.
teammate, DeJuan Jones, I think.
Jones, yeah.
Yeah,
PFF.
DeJuan Jones and then Darnell Wright as well.
Oh, he was in there. Okay, good.
Wait,
That's Steve's
no,
guy.
Darnell Wright might have been in the last one. Yes, because it was 2-1 in the offensive lineman, at least in this crop. So Darnell Wright was in mock draft watch 5.0.
Okay.
DeJuan Jones was in mock draft watch 6.0. Darnell Wright has only been mocked to the Bills once.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
'Cause
I kind of like that.
Yeah, 'cause
He's kind of like an under the radar pick,
secret.
Steve.
Well,
Keep it a secret.
because they think he's going to be gone.
Well, yeah, maybe.
He's like the 3rd best tackle available in this draft. There's no way you get out of this first round and there's only
Well, you got Paris Johnson
Yeah.
from Ohio State.
right.
He's going in the teens in a lot
Right.
of mock
So
drafts.
is Broderick
draft
Jones,
watch,
the
yeah.
Georgia kid, right?
Right.
And then I want to say there. Skoronsky is the other kid who's supposed to go in the top
Right.
15. So those are the top 3.
Right.
And then after that, it's pick your flavor. Is it DeJuan Jones, a gigantic human being?
You've got-
Is it Darnell Wright from Tennessee, another big player, but not nearly as big as DeJuan Jones? Or do you like the best guard in the draft instead of one of those tackles that are maybe the 4th or 5th on the board?
DeJuan Jones has been mocked to the Bills 3 times.
Yeah. He's
He's
big.
just-
he's
I mean,
6'8",
he's got
almost
crazy measurables.
right. He's unbelievably enormous. He's 6'8", well over 350 pounds.
His arms are 36 and an eighth inches long.
Right.
He's got 3 foot arms.
right.
Crazy.
bro.
That's right.
And he moves quick for his size.
Right. So, but you got to find out, and I don't know if the guy is committed and is serious about it, and he's not one of these guys that has to battle to stay under 400
Well, yeah,
pounds. One of
that's
those
the concern
guys
that scouts have.
What's
when they're
he
that
like?
big.
What kind of guy is he? Is it a battle for him to play under 375 pounds? Because if it is, you don't want to fight that. They've got demons you got to work with, and once they start getting a paycheck that's really big, they tend to take it out of gear. So all those personal things have to. A guy that big has questions to answer, just like a guy who's really small has questions to answer. Different questions, but the same kind of thing. They're things you're not going to know until he gets in.
All right. So last question here, Maddie, before we let you go and rest your poor voice.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
I wanna ask you guys a question
Oh, okay.
first. Then you can
Fire
ask me
away.
one. So when we had Chris Trapasso on last week, when you
Right.
both were out, we started to have this discussion. I can't remember if we had most of it on air or off air. Brandon Bean says, and I know he doesn't entirely mean this when he says this, but he said in the past, when we get to the draft, we want to be in a position where we are drafting based on wants, not needs. We want to be able to go in and take the best person available at number 27 or wherever they're
regardless of
drafting at, regardless of position. And it depends because you never know what their draft board looks like. You never know how many first-round grades they have on players. So everybody's draft board is different. Brandon could have a bunch of first-round grades on offensive linemen, and that's conveniently also a position group that the Bills could add some more depth to. Do you believe, based on the situation that the Bills are in now, to where we're paying a lot of money for a few players in your Josh Allen, your Von Miller, your Stephon Diggs, your Tre'Davious White, your Deion Dawkins, your Matt Milano, go down the list with the guys that we're paying big time to. Do you believe that this team is in a position to truly draft still want versus need because of the financial position this team is in, and where I feel like now over the last 2 years, there are some needs once this team goes into the draft. There was a need at cornerback last year. And right now, I believe there's a need at offensive line for this team and a huge need at linebacker for this team. Do you think that kind of starts to change for this team because of the fact that
they lean more towards need than best player available? Is that the question?
They're leaning more towards need now than best player available because of the salary cap situation and because they can't afford to get some of these guys in free agency that they have to go into the draft having holes still on their roster.
So my answer to that would be yes, but not at the cost of going outside what the board tells them in terms of value. You work an entire calendar year to get the value right on your board as it pertains to your team. Is this guy a fit for the Bills? How much value do we put on that fit based on his talent, his character, his background, all of that stuff, his want to, how important football is to him? So I would say yes, but not to the point where it compromises the value they've assigned to player X on their board. So my answer to that is, because we were talking about this the other day.
Oh, okay.
Jack Campbell, for example. Some people don't think he's worthy of a first-round draft choice. They don't have him until the 40s, some teams perhaps. We had a caller say, well, if you need a linebacker, just take him at 27. What's the difference? I said, well, the difference is you just spent the last calendar year determining value for 330 players in your draft pool, and if they have Jack Campbell as a pick somewhere in the middle of round 2, they're not going to take him at the bottom of round 1. If they want him and they don't want to pick anybody else because they don't like anybody else at 27, they'll slide out if they can, so the value fits better. Is it a risk? Of course it is. But value over everything. I will agree with you that I think need at a position has slid up in the priority list a little bit, but it will never, ever trump value. That's what they work all year on to assess.
I would agree. Everything that Brownie said, I would agree with. I would say this right now. Yeah, they have a need, not as pronounced at the offensive line as they did before they signed
Connor McGovern, David Edwards,
and re-signed Kessenberry and all
Butker
that. The need they have this year is different and lesser than the draft last year because the need that they have is not at a money position. It's not at corner, edge rusher. It's not at wide receiver.
Or left tackle.
It's not a left tackle. Those are money positions. It's a linebacker. Okay. I'm not saying they're not important guys, but the role and the value they have on a roster is not like a quarterback. Corner is much more valuable than a nickel linebacker or whoever it's going to be, even the inside linebacker. So they're harder to find. So I think the fact that they do have a need at linebacker,
they're in a good position.
It's a position that is not going to be decimated by the time they get to the pick 27.
Yeah, they could get the best on the board, conceivably.
They might
even be able to slide back into the top of round 2 and still get the best on the board.
While there is all the things that Brownie said, each pick in the draft has a value. The fact that the Bills' needs are at positions that are not value positions is going to serve them well, probably better than they were in a position to do last year.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
We will leave it there and give Maddie's poor voice a break. Please get yourself a lozenge.
Yeah, seriously. Thanks for
hot tea with
bearing
honey
with me,
and
guys.
lemon. It's upstairs in the cafeteria. Hot tea with honey
appreciate
and
it.
lemon. That's our prescription here from Dr. Brown and Dr. Tasker.
Thanks for everybody listening.
I hope you feel better.
Oh, my gosh.
That's Maddy Glab with Mock Draft 6.0. We will have her visit us again here in studio.